Hello, you inglorious bastards. So today is just going to be a fantastic lols fest. Don't believe me? Well, our very own Laci Green has just won a Streamy Award for the best science and education program.
All right, the next category is science or education.
And the Streamy goes to Laci Green.
And when they have nowhere else to turn, they are coming on YouTube to learn about their bodies, to learn about sexuality. They're finding role models to learn about themselves and the world.
Yeah, thank God I had Laci to educate me that if I was too drunk to drive, then I was too drunk to give consent, which meant that anyone who had sex with me while I was drunk was actually a rapist.
So now I want to talk about some situations where consent cannot happen, even with a verbal yes. Sometimes people get drunk. You may have learned this about the world. When it comes to sex, a little bit of alcohol isn't a big deal. But if they're too drunk to drive, they're too drunk to give consent, period. But consent isn't just hot, it's also mandatory. Sexual contact without consent is assault or rape. Having sex with someone who's intoxicated or in this compromised state is against the law. You can be expelled and you can go to jail for it. Babes, I am no stranger to dirty words. I mean, I teach sex ed.
You like having power play in your sexy times. Spanking or maybe pinning you down.
This is not how you ask for consent. Nope. Come on, I thought you liked me. I promise you'll like it. Just do it for me. What's the big deal? We've had sex before. I'm so horny right now.
Or, it's okay, Hannah, it's gonna be okay. I'm not so sure. It's okay, you don't have to be sure.
Douchebag alert. Also, potential rapist alert. Oh, that shit's not romantic. It's just creepy and salty and rapey.
Not so sure. It's okay, you don't have to be sure.
So that is why it's really important to hear that verbal out loud yes.
Not so sure. It's okay, you don't have to be sure.
And it's just terrible that Laci had to become a feminist, because when she went to universities and tried to educate them about this sort of consent, they laughed at her.
Because when I speak at universities about the absolute necessity of consent, there are people in the audience who laugh.
And of course, it's got to be enthusiastic consent.
That's when I envy you, Ed, because you have someone. You have the same person every day for over 30 years. You wake up with her, you eat with her, you sleep with her.
Notice how consent is a clear yes, it's enthusiastic.
Make love to the same woman.
I want it! It's out loud and there's no doubt in your mind.
You spend every possible waking moment together. While I'm out running around with some 20-year-olds who just want to have a good time and cheap sex, girls who can't say no.
Because if it's not enthusiastic consent, it's not really consent. Or maybe she's just a feminist because she's so tired of all those stereotypes like bitches be crazy.
You know, bitches be crazy. I'm a feminist because my first boyfriend sexually assaulted me, and when I went to my friends for help, they called me a slut.
Anyways, Carlos, you little slut whore love bug of mine, I wore this shirt just for you, because I know you think.
And when I went to my friends for help, they called me a slut.
It's like 20 times too big for me, and I feel like I'm in a big giant garbage bag. But I guess that fits since I'm such a trash bag whore anyways.
So that women lie a lot, we're not trustworthy, we're manipulative.
I mean, it's not like she was proud about being a homewrecker or anything.
I'm a feminist because the media told me that women are my competition.
My last 4 boyfriends, including the guy that I dated for 3 years, have all been a product of a little bit of homewrecking.
However, she did have a hissy fit because someone used her image in one of their thumbnails, which according to her was copyright infringement, and she had to file a report against that shit. Then of course comes the juicy bit. Philip Defranco decided he was going to cover this because in essence this was a larger YouTuber bullying a smaller one and using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to do it.
Is Laci Green, very large YouTuber, reporting a much smaller YouTuber. This over the much smaller YouTuber's use of Laci Green's image in her thumbnail and video, even though she is talking about those things.
And again, maybe Phil was atoning for his previous sins, because had he not promoted Laci years ago, she would have just vanished off the face of YouTube, and you would have never had collaborations like this. Nah, Defranco's been on YouTube almost as long as me. Guys, okay. That being said, Laci really didn't like his bring it on attitude.
It was a smaller channel, someone you think that you could push down. Which is why, Miss Laci Green, in today's thumbnail, I will be using you. You are the subject of news, we are talking about news, and there is commentary. If you'd like to go after someone that isn't much smaller than you, let me know. And she tweeted, could @Philly D be any more of a drama queen? I'm sick of alt-right assholes using my face to make money and direct harassment at me. Fuck off.
I mean, it's not like she's ever dramatized things like smearing people's faces all over videos about rape or anything. You know, because sensationalization is such a terrible scourge on YouTube.
And I also think it's just really cheap content. You know, it's lowest common denominator stuff, and it doesn't really require you to engage with issues or to be creative or to invent something that's really cool. It's just kind of easy.
You know, when God cursed me, and he did, it was with saying, you're gonna remember stuff. And so I do. Laci Green has a very long history of abusing the DMCA, abusing the copyright system. Now, not many would remember this, but in the early days, Laci Green's skit was basically to get her tits onto camera. And I had a friend who back in the day actually used to make videos, and she said, you know how insanely difficult it is to get the camera shots that she does, to get both her face and her breasts into the camera. Now, let me just give you an example of how hard it is. So here I've just got a regular video camera, which I'm going to set to record, and I'm just going to give you, right, she actually had to cut off the top of her head to get her breasts into the field of view. That's how tough it was. So basically, she had to come up to somewhere like, oh God, even that's not enough. Somewhere about there to actually get everything into the shot. And then she can complain like, do you know how terrible it is that women's bodies are used to sell everything these days?
Because boobs are used to sell everything from burgers to soaps. It's shitty commercial after shitty commercial using women's bodies to sell everything from A to Z. Close-ups on her ass, her lips, her breasts to sell beer?
Anyway, so someone basically called her on this, and the way they did it is they took the camera shot that she had and they basically zoomed in onto her cleavage with some sort of cheesy music, and there was this great exchange where she basically threatened to DMCA them, to sue them for copyright, and she said she was going to report them to YouTube for harassment and everything, the whole goddamn work. And that was about 6 years ago.
Part of, broader negative stereotypes about feminists that were hysterical and sensitive.
Because yeah, you're right, Laci. That's what the Digital Millennium Copyright Act should all be about protecting the feelings of sensitive people who've worked so hard to get their cleavage into the shot. And for those who missed it, the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, has nothing to do with hurt feelings. It's got nothing to do with harassment. It only deals with copyright infringement. And there's a whole bunch of fair use criteria that allow you to use other people's media, their copyrighted media, under certain circumstances.
So anyway, who are you people? Haven't I seen you in some copyrighted movie?
We resemble but are legally distinct from the lollipop kill.
And then, of course, because he's an educator, a bit of a slow learner, but an educator, she then, years later, filed a DMCA copyright takedown against one of SargonofAkkad's videos. And of course, he counterfiled the DMCA notice and won. But yeah, Laci trooped on with her selective understanding of copyright infringement. And of course, after that, she then actually has the gall to actually criticize other people's understanding of the DMCA, saying, do you law?
She defended herself, saying it's a copyright violation to use someone's image to make money, learned a law.
Not in all reinforcing that feminist stereotype that,
Bitches be crazy.
This is what the bitches I went to high school with were like at school on Mondays.
Bitch was thrown around by abusers all the time. Nearly every report I drew up included quotes where an abused woman was called a bitch. She was being a bitch. She had it coming. It justified violence. It was violence.
cultivate a world of girl love. Girl love is supporting each other. It's hoping to see each other succeed.
This is what the bitches I went to high school with were like at school on Mondays.
Oh my god! Like, oh my god! Like, oh my god! Like, oh my god!
You know, bitches be crazy.
Bitch, what'd you just say to me? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I don't deal with that bullshit. You did not just go there. You did not just walk your little panties over there.
You know, bitches be crazy.
I feel bad for any guy who ever has to go out on a date with me when I'm in a really awkward mood, because then he'd probably just, like, not know how to, yeah.
Part of, you know, broader negative stereotypes about feminists that were hysterical and sensitive. I was really hurt because, you know, this was before I really realized that Phil hates me. Stereotypes about feminists that were hysterical and sensitive, and I didn't really understand why he hates me and why he was going off on this, because
Myself and many others, I saw this as a false report, potential abuse of the system, and a big channel bullying a smaller channel.
And when people have spoken out in the past, they've been bullied in silence so that they feel scared to say something. So it really is a very daunting thing to come forward when the person that's violated you is famous.
And it's also my belief that maybe you did this because it was a smaller channel, someone you think that you could push down.
I really think also the community needs to come together and say something when they see this kind of stuff happening. People are really scared to say something about it. It's their friends, it's their coworkers, it's people they idolize. There's a lot of power dynamics at play.
One writing, Laci, I really like you, but seriously, don't you do the same thing? Laci responding, honestly, how? Whose likeness do I use? I mind my own business and I'm mindful not to exploit the audiences or property of others online. To which many people sent her screenshots of her own videos.
But I want it to be known, and I want people to not be afraid to say that this is not something we tolerate. This is not what the YouTube community stands for, and this is not going to pass. This is not going to fly in our community.
And of course, Laci hates drama. It's what makes YouTube so terrible these days.
you know, I don't usually engage with this shit because I don't think that the YouTube drama black hole vortex is a positive thing.
I mean, it's not like her second highest viewed video is Sam Pepper Exposed, or that she's got a gazillion other videos with their titles all in caps, one after the other. You know, with things like Justin Bieber's penis.
You know, I don't think attacking people and relying on misplaced outrage is a good way to build the community. I don't think that it's a positive force. I think it's really toxic.
Because she only deals with serious issues.
And I also think it's just really cheap content. You know, it's lowest common denominator stuff, and it doesn't really require you to engage with issues or to be creative or to invent something that's really cool. It's just kind of easy.
Hey Laci, let me let you in on a little secret. You saying, do you law, carries about as much weight as saying, today we science.
There are a lot of people with opinions about gender, but today we science.
You know, so you can come to conclusions that, you know, girls mostly liking boys and boys mostly liking girls has got to be mostly just cultural. It's something that you just learn from society, because boys' brains and girls' brains are virtually identical.
So if there's no such thing as a female or a male brain, then what's going on with differences that we see in people's behavior?
So the differences we see in people's behavior are mostly a result of our environment and not our biology.
Yeah, bullshit. Any species where the guys mostly don't want to have sex with the girls and the girls mostly don't want to have sex with the guys is extinct after a generation. I think it might mostly be hardwired into the brain, you know, Laci. Great science and education though, Laci. Fantastic stuff. Oh, and one last juicy peach of irony. Turns out that the article that Philip Defranco covered after he covered Laci Green's DMCA abuse was how he had won a Streamy.
Best thumbnail of all time ever. We won a Streamy for Best News and Culture Show. Ooh, it felt good, but do not get confused.
Yup, Philip Defranco won a Streamy Award at the exact same ceremony.
All right, the next category is science or education.
That Laci Green won hers for science and education. Awkward.
Weird, kind of messed up way in our brain, we don't want to see other women succeed if we're not succeeding ourselves.
Yeah, and that's a form of sexism itself, right?
There it is.
Totally.
No!